Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So coming up on my last review of the year, and what best way to end the year by, doing a review on a movie that is a remake of a 100-year classic that tells the story of death incarnate. So Nosferatu is the newest horror movie directed by Robert Eggers. It actually came out on Christmas Day, though I wasn't able to see it then because of, family functions, but I got to see it a couple days later, and it is the newest horror movie for, this holiday season, though it doesn't scream holiday movie, I'll tell you that much. And actually, it kind of excited me knowing that Robert Eggers was directing it, because he's known for directing horror movies like, The Witch, and also, what was the other one? The Lighthouse. I mean, he did also do The Northman, but that wasn't a horror movie, so I mean, it's great to see him back in the horror genre. This movie actually had a pretty big cast, well, with a lot of well-known actors that I actually didn't even know were in this movie. But of course, the main ones that, that the story focused on was, of course, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, and Bill Skarsgård. So Tom, who is played by Nicholas Hoult, goes to this castle where he actually happens to meet Count Orlok. And the interesting thing is Count Orlok is really obsessed with Tom's wife, who is played by Lily Rose Depp, who is also the daughter of Johnny Depp. Might want to throw that fact out there. And their bond is very interesting. I never really understood what their bond was or how they were connected. They were just bonded together. And another big note is that Bill Skarsgård, who plays Count Orlok, he is fucking terrifying. Not really by his looks, but just his presence. His presence is completely terrifying because he's there, and there's just this gripping tension everywhere you go because he's there, he's coming. You're like, oh my god, where is he? They also kind of keep his image kind of vague, and that's also why I felt like his presence was so powerful throughout this whole movie, because you don't really get a good look at Count Orlok until really the very end of this movie. But when you do see him during this movie, his presence is just so, shocking and terrifying, because you can't really tell how he looks, because they kind of keep him a lot in the shadows. But of course, he is a vampire, so, they're going to keep it like that. But even so, just keeping that visual, out of sight and out of mind with that powerful, deep voice, it just really sends you for a shock. Essentially, Robert Eggers' goal was to turn Count Orlok into the embodiment of evil. And when you see some of these characters change, with how having their normal lives to being so terrified, you start to feel that as well. You feel that powerful, evil presence that Count Orlok has. I mean, there were some people in front of me in the theaters who were watching the movie like this. And I mean, it's not really that kind of a horror movie. It really plays on your psyche to know what is real and what is not. And that embodiment really amplifies, the horror that Count Orlok brings to this movie. Also, Nicholas Hoult's first meeting with him even adds to that, because he goes in there just like a normal businessman, and then all of a sudden, after he leaves Count Orlok's castle, he is like a different person. He is terrified to the nth degree. And it's actually interesting because a lot of people, I don't really know the time frame here, but it seems like he spent a couple days in his castle. And it's like, oh my god, what is he doing to this guy? He is terrified to death. Honestly, though, it wasn't just Nicholas Hoult, though. I mean, their acting was good all around, everywhere. I mean, there was a lot of great moments with the actors where their moods were just changing in like in an instant. I mean, there's some deep conversations. There's interesting ones. There's talks of fear. There's arguing. And I mean, it's just the dread of how you feel when these actors are feeling this fear because of this present that's coming to their, home. And it's the way their moods just change here and there shows us that's great acting all around. Robert Eggers has always been, good at that, because I mean, he's just been so good at bringing the actors emotional state into their highest point when certain situations are happening. There's emotion here, emotion there, a bunch of different emotions that are changing in every scene. And it just makes you start feeling playing on your thoughts, that you don't know what's real, or what are they going to do, what happens here, and that just keeps you guessing and heightens the mood and the anxiety that his movies bring. A lot of great actors were in this movie. The cast was really well picked. There was a lot of big name actors in this movie. Like I said, Lily Rose Depp, along with Nicholas Hoult and Bill Skarsgård, was the other standout. But I mean, she brings like her own zest to this film. I mean, I know there were probably eyes on her as well ever since like when we found out that she was like going to be the other main character. But if Count Orlok is the embodiment of evil, she is the embodiment of fear. And I don't mean like, as in bringing it, I mean as in feeling it, because she feels more fear in this movie than anybody else. The biggest shock for me was when I found out that Aaron Taylor Johnson was in this movie. Until I saw him in this film, which was probably at like the halfway point, I found out that that was him playing this character. I had no clue that he was in this film. And it's actually a good thing too, because I mean, after Craven, I was like, there is no way he is turning in just Craven and calling this a good year, because like that is a bad year. This movie probably saved him this year, because Craven was just like every other Sony Spider-Man movie. Also, the production of this movie is really great. I mean, of course, there's probably CGI everywhere in this film, because I'm sure there are a lot of moments where CGI was used, but the saying is that the best CGI is the one that you don't notice, which I did not notice a lot of it in here. Also, the movie is filmed like on 35 millimeter. If you're a big film person, you probably will see that. Also, the way the color is done as well, giving it that romanticism vibe, as well as, playing on, the shadow and lighting. It shows the techniques that, that some of the best horror scenes are the ones where, they do little is better, and not, more means better, where it doesn't always work that way. One of the things that surprised me the most about this film was that there were moments in here that were actually pretty funny. And that was something I was not expecting for this movie, because I was expecting a really, straightforward, solid horror flick. And then when I start seeing moments when we're getting laughs, I'm like, okay, when did we switch to a comedy movie here? But it's not that I didn't like it. Maybe it was just Robert Eggers' way of trying to lighten the mood here and there. But it's just that seeing comedy in a horror movie as dark as this one, it's just something I wasn't expecting at all to happen. Overall, though, Nosferatu was just another great horror film that we got this year. I really don't understand how 2024 became so great with horror this year, but this has been this genre's year. Nosferatu is another great horror movie for this year. I'm giving it an A-. Another great one, 2024. All right, well, that just about wraps up this review. If you guys have seen Nosferatu, please comment here down below what your thoughts were on it. Also, if you like my other videos, you can check out here more on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And everybody, have an epic new year.